everyone, and welcome to the Mountainside Podcast. Our guest for this episode is my friend Jack Shirk. He's an avid angler, outdoorsman, and a true conservationist. I thoroughly enjoyed having Jack on the podcast once again. It was nice to sit down, have a glass of whiskey, and catch up, and I hope you enjoy our conversation. Yeah. It's good to be back in here. Yeah, let's do it. All right,
Dude, wherever you want to go, I'll follow.
just haven't gone fishing. You got to do that.
Dude, whenever you want, man.
And Ron, Jack Shirk's back in the house. Cheers, brother.
Yeah, thank you,
Salute.
man. Thanks for having me back. I'm excited.
Yeah, man, it's been a minute since I seen you. A lot's happened with us. I think it's been
has.
over a year.
Yeah, at least, I think.
Yeah, and
I don't think it was 20. No, it had to be 2020, right?
it was like
19?
right after the pandemic started. Because
Yeah.
Jeremy, can you look up what episode number that was? Anyways, your episode, which is really badass, it still gets downloads to this day, like every week. I see.
Way.
Yeah,
That's
because I can
awesome, man.
track the
Glad to hear
downloads.
it. Yeah, that's cool.
And it's cool because I actually went back and listened to it just because it had been a while since, and I was kind of wanted to see what we covered and stuff. And there's so much good fucking information in there, dude.
Man.
Yeah. Like
I'm glad.
on the fishing side. So I want to dive some more into that here in a minute, but
Absolutely.
let's catch up for a second, dude. And
man.
what's been happening, man? I know it's a lot's happening for you. You've been busy as shit. I know that. So
Yeah, definitely busy. A lot has changed, I think, since the last time. I think the last time we talked, I was getting ready to move to Colorado Springs. So we spent a year in the Springs. We're now back in Denver. So we're back up here in the Cherry Creek area. So I was down there working with the Covey. I ended up only working there about 4 to 5 months. I had some personal stuff come up. I stepped away. I'm back working with my brother in a sales role. So that's been fun, exhilarating, and challenging. So that's been awesome to grow on, a little bit of personal development side, and then still doing a ton of fishing, man, and doing more fly tying. I've been spending a lot more time at the Vice.
I've been seeing that, man. Your flies are looking good.
Yeah, man, I've gone down this rabbit hole probably like the last 3 months of tying streamers, which, you know what I mean? You can sit there and tie like a size 24 midge and pump 2 dozen of those out in a half hour or an hour, where these are like, I'm sitting there for like an hour a piece. But it's a lot more, I feel like, artistic. There's a lot more that goes into it, and they're fun to fish, man. So
Is that like a therapeutic thing? Because I've never really done it. I've had a little bit of interest in it, and that's why I shoot my bow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I would say it's like a similar type of deal. Like, it's something that's relaxing, it's fun, it's challenging. But I think it's a great way to stay connected to the water and the sport when you're not doing it. You know what I mean? When you're not getting as much time on the water as I was, it's a great way to feel like you're still doing something to be prepared and stay connected. So
hell yeah. And the last time you were in, I totally forgot what the scientific name is, but the study of insects is...
Oh, it's hard to pronounce.
Yeah.
Etymology. Entomology. It's
Are you still diving deep into that, or?
Yeah, man, all the time. We're always, tying different bugs, different flies to match different bugs, and it's the more dialed you get into that, especially on trickier tailwaters like we have close to here, like a Cheeseman Canyon or the Decker South Platte or the Dream Stream or the Taylor River, whatever it might be. The more you know about that, the better your odds of success are. That's for sure.
Hell yeah.
But
so I'm thrilled to have you back in. Thanks for coming back in. Okay. Episode 10, dude.
Yep, so we're well over a year.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm excited to be back, man. We had a great conversation. I had a ton of fun.
I'm sure you did some fishing trips this summer.
I did.
Yeah,
I actually, not to cut you off, but fishing trips wise, I was just in Michigan chasing king salmon. That was a ton of fun. I hadn't done that before. That's a pretty cool experience to look in the river and just see hundreds of fish working their way inland, and they're crazy strong and fun to catch. And I had caught a couple, and then decided the rest of the trip I was going to throw mostly streamers to try to get one to eat, because a lot of people up there, they're fishing to them. You foul hook a lot of fish. It's inevitable with that style of fishing. But I really wanted to get a fresh one who had just moved into the river that was a little, further from death, if you will. And I finally got one to take a streamer, and it was intense. It about jerked the rod out of my hands, and the fight was awesome. It actually bent the hook out on the streamer, so I was lucky to land it. But that was a ton of fun and a highlight of the trip. And Michigan's beautiful. I have family in Michigan. I spent some time in that part of the country. but not the part I was in, and it was beautiful. So
those king salmon can get pretty big too.
Oh yeah, they get huge. Yeah. Like we saw a couple of my buddies caught some true monsters. It was a good trip.
So what kind of is it, like an 8 weight or 9 weight?
Yep.
Something that you're using?
I was fishing a 9-foot 9 weight most of the trip, and then the fish, the streamer eater I caught was on a 10-foot 7 weight, which was a blast.
Nice. A little bit more effort there.
Yeah,
huh?
exactly. I was chasing them, and it took a few minutes to get them to the net, so that was a lot of fun. Yep.
How about locally? When you were down in the Springs, did you find some new spots, or you?
Yeah,
I know you go all over the state. So.
Got super heavy into alpine fishing this summer and ran in.
That's my favorite.
I'll show you pictures that'll never hit the gram. Yeah. I've ran into that are true gems and deserve to stay awesome. Unpublicized, if you will. Yeah, my girlfriend and I, Sarah, we put in a ton of effort. We did a lot of hiking, a lot of miles on the truck and the boots, and uncovered some really, truly awesome resources. And it was just a fun summer, man. We did a ton of camping and a lot of hiking. I would say probably from like mid-June to end of August, we didn't really fish any rivers, man. We were just hiking and fishing alpine lakes.
Oh, yeah. That's my favorite, man. Getting native trout is my jam.
Yep. Yeah, it was they're beautiful, man, and they take so long to grow, and all those fish have been managed to, stocked by helicopter or not helicopter, but plane. And so we have the CPW and the folks at Trout Unlimited to thank for those fish. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, it's crazy, man, that the effort that they go to stock some of those high alpine lakes, because you know how hard it is to get to some of them or some of those streams.
Yeah, some of them are extremely remote. So, some of them are being stocked by volunteers who actually throw a bag of fingerling trout in a backpack, hike them up there,
That's
acclimate
awesome.
them to the water, and then let them go. Others plane, some horseback too. So there's a lot of time, effort, and money that goes into getting those fish into places that they're hard to find, So
locally, mostly, are you still hitting Cheeseman a lot? I know.
Yeah, we still fish Cheeseman. We fish the Blue. We fish all the different sections of the South Platte, 11 Mile Canyon, the Dream. We've been spending some more time in Wyoming, which has been awesome.
Oh, hell yeah.
So we've definitely diversified.
Have you had a good time up there? And
yeah,
found some
I think I'm
spots?
gonna head up there this weekend. I got a trip planned with a couple buddies. We're gonna go out. My brother, we use it for elk hunting. We have a little teepee tent with a wood stove in the middle, a little packable.
Oh, those are
stove.
sweet. Yeah, like a canvas one or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. Is it one of those pellet stoves?
No, so it's just a square, like a little wood burner stove that has a flue pipe that comes up and it goes right through the tent. I'm trying to think. Lux Tents is they make a bunch of different like elk hunting and backcountry tents, but I think they're the ones who make that tent.
Awesome.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's a good time.
Wyoming's so close too. Like people don't realize you can be in Wyoming in a couple hours. Just bang up I-25.
You really can, and there's some great resources up there, and there's some really large trout. So it's fun to get up there and do something a little bit different on some bigger water.
You're just coming back from a hunting trip, right? Like when I hit you up, you were like, I can't come in that week. We were trying to schedule it.
I did.
How'd it go, man?
It was awesome. We the first day I saw over 120 elk. It was
no way.
Kind of an anomaly event. We rent horses. So this is the first year hunting. My dad has hunted this particular area for, I want to say, like over 40 years now. Him and his group of buddies. And I was so busy playing sports growing up. My brother was super heavy into hunting. I was not at the time. So last year I backcountry hunted with my brother in the same area. Well, this year we went back with my dad and his group, and they go all out. They have an outfitter tent. Like they spend 2 weeks up there. We hunted the last week with them, but we all rented horses. But yeah, we rode out the first morning, and it was intense for about 2 hours, man. I saw like 4 elk right off the jump in my spot, and there was a shooter in that group, and I chased him down the hill a little bit. Didn't get there in time. Looked back up the hill. The 5x5 I shot was standing up there. I turned around, and out of the woods came a group of 88 elk. So I think we just happened to hit it on a day that there was a group migrating through, and it was crazy, man. There was like a couple 6x6s.
Rifle season, or
yeah,
was it first rifle?
It was second.
Okay.
Yep. And my dad actually shot the biggest bull of his life, 6x7 with.
No way.
Yeah, it was extremely wide.
Have they scored it yet, or?
No, they haven't. But he actually just got back to Pennsylvania, so they drove back to Pennsylvania. But yeah, he shot a really nice 6x7. It was
That's
extremely
epic,
wide.
man.
Yeah, it was an awesome hunt.
So you got brothers that come out for that too, right?
I do.
If
So I have
remember
one
right?
brother, who he actually owns the company I'm working for right now. Okay. So he lives in Cherry Creek as well. But yeah, it was an awesome experience, man, to hunt and see my dad kill that awesome bull, and our whole group shot bulls. My brother shot a nice one as well. So
just being out there with your family, man, that's the thing for me, and that's one of the reasons probably why I still do it. I mean, number one for me is the meat, man. Like that.
Yeah, I had elk
if there's nothing better,
Sunday
man. I was eating deer last night, you know, like
well,
it was incredible. My kids love it. You know, so.
Yeah, with all that's going on in the world, man. I was in King Supers last night. I want to say like beef is like $6.99 or $7.99 a pound. Or something insane, and I was like, well,
that's crazy because I just don't buy it.
Yeah, I was like, we got a year and a half.
I get it
elk
from
and deer to eat.
This company Butcher Box. We're not sponsored by them or anything, but it's pretty awesome. I get my steaks from there, so whenever I do need the fix, like I just throw them in the deep freezer, and it's all natural, grass fed, humane, you know, grain finished, and then Mountain Primal too is another company I buy from, and they're Colorado based. Yeah. They're fucking awesome, man.
I mean, too, that's what I was telling my girlfriend. I was like, we just put an advance on like burger meat for the next year and a half, probably. I mean, I shot a small mule deer as well, a nice little buck. But between my brother and I, we have 3 animals to eat, and there's 4 of us, him and his girlfriend.
So I mean, and you can eat on an elk for a while, man. Especially if it's a bull, even a cow.
Yep.
You get a lot of meat off.
Yeah, absolutely. So we probably won't have to buy burger meat for the next year and a half, maybe 2.
It's so much better for you too.
And that's the thing; it's not pumped full of everything we don't know about, and it's just they're wild. Yeah. So
and if you take them to a good processor, you can get all kinds of specialty stuff.
Yep.
Made, you know, like last night we were eating these like cheddar bratwurst.
Yeah.
Fucking amazing. My kids are like, these are the best fucking hot dogs I've ever had. Right? Like, it tastes good, don't it?
Yeah, it's awesome. My brother I know is getting a bunch of sausage and whatnot made, and we got a bunch of different cuts of steak and stuff. So I'm excited, man. It's cool too. It's you kill something, and that's all. My girlfriend was like, "Do you think it's fun to kill something?" I was like, "No, I don't think it's fun, but I almost feel like it's necessary, but it's..."
The killing part is not what I like to do.
No, the hunt is fun, and there's a lot of respect.
And being with your family, and I think that, you know, I've heard this on other podcasts, so this is not my quote, but, you know, the grip and grin photos, I don't take them personally, and I don't knock anybody that does. And you're just so excited because of all the effort that you've put in.
Absolutely.
To really put it in perspective for people that don't hunt. And, you know, and I think that's just a bad way to portray hunting because you're just standing there with the biggest shit-eating grin on your face because of everything that you've went through. Yeah. Well, but like I said, I don't knock anybody that does do it. You know, I think that there's...
Yeah, and, you know, I've grown... not angry, but a little discouraged with the fly fishing culture because it's not, nobody is intentionally being a detriment to the fisheries or to the resource or to the elk or whatever the sporting activity you're participating is. It's people are uneducated, right? We need to do a better job of actually educating people. If your 8-year-old cousin hammers a 25-inch trout, you want to grip and grin. You want to see the excitement. You want to cherish that forever. That's why I take photos, because when I'm sitting on the plane and there's no surface, I'm looking through fishing pictures like, man, that was the best day ever. Like, had so much fun, right? But you're right, grip and grins, there's definitely, we don't post a lot of them anymore. We will, here and there, but there's definitely an ethical way to take those pictures and respect that
we
fish.
hit on that, and I don't think it would be a bad idea to go over it again because we have a whole entire new scope of listeners. You know? And
absolutely. I'll touch on it briefly.
I always like the saying, just keep them wet.
That's what I changed my Instagram bio. I removed all the junk and was like, # keep them wet. Because it's true. It's like, it's easy to keep them wet, man. Like, you just keep them in the net, lift them up for 2-3 seconds. The guy that used to work at the Covey, awesome guy, John Easton, he's the advocate heavily for the Dream Stream and protecting that resource. He always says, hold your breath. You know what I mean? Like, you'll see dudes rolling around in the dirt and holding the fish up for 15 seconds. Like, could you hold your breath that long? No. Put him back in the water,
that's a good fucking way to think about it.
He's sitting there squirming like he needs to breathe.
Hold your breath while that fish is out of water.
If you look at our page, most of my favorite photos are when the fish is just held either half in the water or a few inches above the water.
I kind of like them when they actually take the shot in the net.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because the fish is in its element.
Yep.
It's not in the best position it could be in, but it's not in a bad position that's harming it.
Yep.
And these nets have gotten so cool, like
they're
those
awesome.
fish pond nets, you know, like the webbing and stuff. It kind of makes like a cool backdrop.
And it opens the door. There's a lot of artistic opportunity there, especially for like the more serious, photographers. You know, there's a lot of stuff you can do to get a really cool picture of a trout.
Yeah.
You know, like trout photography, I love it. I truly enjoy looking at the different patterns, the colorations. Every trout's unique, and capturing that moment. You know, there's a way that you can do that ethically.
And I think there's a way to get grip and grin hunt photos too. I think you can be, you know, and Cameron Haynes once said this, and I never really thought about it. And I used to, like when I was a kid, when I shot my first elk, like I had photos of me holding up, it was a cow, you know, just holding up its ears, and it's an exciting thing. And I definitely will be taking a photo of my kid if he chooses to hunt. You know, he's chomping at the bit to do it now.
Yep.
And so yeah, I will definitely take a photo, but I think that there is an ethical way that you can do it. You know, try to clean up some of the blood. You don't have to have their tongue hanging out, like just stuff like that.
Yeah, and two, it's
kind of paying respect to the animal, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing is like I shot that animal. I want to harvest every ounce of meat I can get out of it.
Yeah.
I want to go up, and I sat there and I you know, this might sound cruel or whatever, he's dead, but I like not petted him, but I was just like, thanks, buddy. Like, I hope, you know, whatever happens to your soul is a good journey, and I appreciate you letting me harvest your life, and we're going to eat it. We're not going to waste it. It's a heavy experience when you kill anything, you know, any type of game animal. I think you got to respect it, you know?
Well, and I mean, if you put it in perspective as far as the animal expiring and living the last moments of its life, you know, it might have lived a longer life. I'll give you that. But anything else out there that's going to get them in nature? Could you imagine, like, I mean, I've shot elk, deer with a bow, and they don't even know what hit them sometimes. Like, they'll jump a little bit, like, what the hell, and then fall over, or they'll take off, and they don't go very far. So it's a quick, I mean, you have to hit them just in the right spot, right? It's got to be a honey shot.
And that's the thing too, is like, what's the alternative? His neck gets latched on by a mountain lion.
Gets stuck in a fence.
Yeah, absolutely.
That happens
Horns
every
are stuck
day.
in Christmas lights. You know, I see all these terrible pictures, and I shouldn't have said petted. That was a bad term, but just like patted him when he was laying there, and it's a very, you know, I sat there. I
do the same exact thing though. It's just like a moment of like, number one, there's such a big, majestic animal.
Yep.
And as
a
a little bitty human, it really puts you in your element, especially like archery hunting.
Yep.
Because they're in the rut, and I don't know if they were bugling or anything, but how you have success is calling them in, and they are fucking pissed off when they come in.
Sure are.
You know, a lot of the time.
Yeah, you know, by no means am I an expert hunter. Yeah. I'm very naive when it comes to hunting, so I'm just speaking from the experience we just had.
So to be that close to an animal that you can touch, not to mention you just took its life, and then, you know, I get emotional, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's an emotional roller coaster, right? Because you have all this adrenaline, and then you crash from it, and then the work sets in, and then you're like, okay, suck it up, Buttercup. We got to get to work now. You know what I mean? Like,
well, that's what we're like. You know, luckily we had horses, and these horses are hauling out the meat, but we're still walking, you know, a straight uphill for miles, and you know, it's just everything I think you have to do with respect and be very. It's reflective when you're laying next to that massive animal that you just killed. You have to be reflective. But I ran, you know, I said earlier, I went down the hill and turned back up the hill and shot that elk. I was huffing and puffing. He let me look at him for a few minutes, but I couldn't shoot him because I'm out of breath. I can't get my shit under control. My heart rate's bouncing. I definitely have some buck fever going on. And it was like, there was a part of me that was like, should I shoot this animal? Because I'm not sure right now.
And you got to make a decision like that.
Yeah, and luckily he gave me enough time to make a slower decision where I finally got my shit under control and made a good ethical shot. But you know, it's the same thing with bow hunters talking about, should I shoot him at 70 yards? You know, probably not, or whatever the case might be.
It's weird. I don't get it. Bow hunting, I've never. Well, that's not true. I've gotten it before, but very seldom do I get like that knee knock going on.
Yep.
When I'm full draw and ready, I'm just. I don't know what it is about my body, but as soon as I let that arrow go, I start second guessing myself. I'm like, shit, I hit it bad, or, you know, and you can watch your arrow flight, but then even if I watch my arrow go right into the honey spot, it's not like, oh, I got him. I am a nervous wreck until I find that thing and it's down, you know, like.
Well, and for me, it's you see all these people interact with these resources and these ecosystems, not understanding what actually has had to take place for that animal to turn into a 6x7 elk or that cutthroat trout to grow to 23 inches.
Yeah.
How many things have to go right? And that's why when people, don't kill without thinking or disrespect a trout, when, it's like, do you understand you may have just killed something that was 6-7 years in the making, or
right.
Longer, depending what you're hunting or what game you're chasing.
They've had to avoid mountain lions, bears, traffic, other people, elk fights. I've seen elk gore other elk.
Right.
Which is crazy right here in Evergreen. You know what I mean?
Driving down the street, there's like 40 of them laying right next to the road.
Oh yeah.
That is awesome.
It's crazy. I did a photography trip, me and my brother, one fall to Yellowstone. And I wanted to go catch Yellowstone and Grand Tetons like in fall and try to get some photos of just some different elk, and we were up there and we fucking drove our asses off. We hiked our asses off. We ran into some bears. Shooting the bison was so cool. A lot of antelope. We saw maybe one bull and like 4 or 5 cows, and the thing was like fucking 400 yards away. It was a long shot. And with the camera lens anyways that I had at the time, it just wasn't happening.
Yep.
And I drive home to Evergreen and I saw more elk like literally turning onto the golf course than I did. I was like, why did I even fucking leave, man?
A lot of the wildlife photographers I follow on Instagram that shoot these big, beautiful bull elk and mule deer, I think a lot of them are hanging out at like Garden of the Gods.
Oh, yeah.
Down in the Springs, and then right here in Evergreen, I think
Evergreen,
lot of people
Estes Park.
Yeah.
There's this, it's probably like a 300 class plus bull that shot, and he's super famous. Just really long seconds and thirds, but he's right up in Estes Park, man. Yeah. And I still haven't. It's hard for me to leave here because the bulls here are 7x8. Like I'll show you some video here in a minute, man.
That's
like
unbelievable.
It's incredible. Like, and they'll be in my yard some mornings when we wake up.
Yeah, it's right up at the top of the road. They were just all chilling in there, like businesses.
Yeah, they move in here and they don't really leave, and it's crazy. Those bulls, and I've said this before on the podcast, but they come in like 1 or 2 days before archery season opens. So they're always here like on August 28th. You can fucking mark your clock, dude. They know exactly what they're doing, they're no dummies. So yeah, man, I think you hit the nail on the head with just being respectful, like you can respect. That's just a fucking golden rule in everything, whether you're living in an inner city or whatever, just being respectful.
Yeah, and that's me and my brother are always ranting. It's like generally, I think the angling community, the hunting community, there's people who respect it because they've grown up in that. They understand it. They know all these things and they practice them. I think a lot of times we're always ranting. Like we think if you want to go hike on national land, you should have to buy a pass. I have to buy a pass, a fishing license to go fish, right? You have to buy a hunting license to go fish, especially if you're from out of state. Those people dump thousands of dollars in just tags alone. I just think that a lot of the times the disrespect is not, I don't think
a lot of it is taken out of the sportsman's pocket.
Right, exactly. And I don't think also that the hiker who, it's like Cheeseman Canyon, especially during COVID, man, there were bags of dog shit all over that trail. People just leaving them there. It's like, I'd rather you just walk 20 yards up the trail and let your dog shit and not put it in a bag.
Exactly.
Than leaving the plastic lay there. Right?
It's one of my biggest fucking pet peeves, man.
Yeah, like why are we doing that? And that's like, I don't think they're malicious. I just think, you know what I mean? If you want to use our public lands, I think you should have to pony up.
How many times have you found those bags in the river? Because I have quite a few times, right?
Yeah.
Because you leave it. Most trails run alongside a river or stream or something, right? You leave that bag on the side. A heavy rain is all it takes, or wind even.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they're floating down the river.
It sucks, man. Yeah, and that's one reason why I started this is I just noticed like there's so much that we could be doing better, and I think it's just educating people, and I think part of it is having conversations like you and I are having right now. Like, I'm not an expert in hunting, or I'm not an expert in the outdoors by any means. We have some experts in here occasionally. I bring people in that I want to talk to, and I think it's just having these conversations, and hopefully somebody listening is getting something out of it.
Well, that's what I'm passionate about, man, is finding ways, simple ways. I think there's things that everybody can do to just make sure my kids can enjoy it and your kids can enjoy it and then their kids can enjoy it, because there's definitely resources that unfortunately are in a downtrend. They've been in a downtrend.
Fish is one of them.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just heavy use, right? So you had to take a hunter safety course, as did I, to walk out and you yield a rifle or a bow or whatever, right? Fishing, there's nothing like that. There's no education piece. Anybody can walk in off the street, buy it, and it's like, I understand it probably doesn't drive as much revenue as elk hunting or whatever the case might be.
It's so weird because people look at fish as a different thing, and maybe I should have never watched that documentary on Netflix, Seaspiracy. Have you seen that shit?
I have. That blew my mind.
Oh my god, dude! It's ruined fucking sushi for me, straight up, dude. Like, I loved sushi. Like now I feel guilty for going and eating fucking sushi because of what's going on out there.
It's crazy to think how far we've been a detriment, isn't it?
It's insane,
dude.
Humans can just fuck some shit up, bro.
It's insane. Like, I never understood the scale that we have affected our oceans. It's unbelievable.
I recommend anybody just watch that, whether your values are with it or not, or whether you believe in global warming or not, because there's some fucking valid points in there. And I think the guy that made it, Jeremy, you might have to look up the guy's name just so we can give him a shout out, but I thought he did a really good job with it. Like, the one part where they were in and they went to that whaling hunt, and the whaler was explaining to him, like, look, I view this the same as like somebody killing, 300 salmon to survive the season or whatever. This is what we eat. This is what we do. This is how we do it. We do it once a year, and I only have to take one life. I don't have to take hundreds, And, I think he was comparing it to like chickens or something.
Right, with elk hunting and everything. For a lot of people, it's tradition. There's a lot of tradition that goes, you know what I mean? My dad has spin fished his whole life. He keeps and eats trout.
Right.
Do I,
I do. The brookies, man. Like,
go to every alpine lake you can find and eat all the brook trout you want. Because they're invasive. They kill cutthroat populations, right?
And they are incredible to eat, man. Like,
you're
not getting a whole lot of meat off of them, but the taste and flavor. And
they're just as fun to catch, man. They're a beautiful
blast.
Fish.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think they're one of the prettiest fish.
I just think extremes, everything, extremes in anything, I think, are generally not great. Like, if you're so far to one side that you can't understand the other side of conservation, or vice versa, opposing sides, then you probably are not looking at it with an open mind, right? There's definitely things that, me being someone who's all catch and release, I don't want to see anybody particularly kill trout,
Sure.
I understand it, right? The Colorado River is so filled with brown trout in certain sections, it could probably use a little less competition. Like, just being honest, Going to the dream stream and a resource that's already been beat to hell and is struggling, and keeping trout illegally, probably not, a great idea. So
I couldn't agree more with you, man. Like, I think that there's definitely, and we've had Colorado Parks and Wildlife in here a couple times, and I brought it up, but I think that there needs to be some sort of awareness raised a little bit more about that, because me going and fishing just right here in Evergreen, this is a shot out of Denver. And you can be here in no time. And it's depleted big time. Our rivers and streams, compared to what it was when I was a kid.
And I think any longtime angler in this state with when I was working at Anglers Cove, you used to hear people come in and be like, the dream stream's gone to shit, 10 years ago, you couldn't go there without catching 5 25-inch fish in a day. And now it's like, the place is a struggle, you know? So I think it's just, it's education and it's awareness, like you just said.
And I think these documentaries, not all of them are great. And I don't think that you can take every single word that they say out of them to heart, right? But it did open my eyes to like, holy shit, like just the piracy and what's going on. And not only, it was more about commercial fishing, right? And I don't think that like the impacts that we're having as sportsmen, I don't think that that's enough to change what's happening. It's the people that do it illegally, and the people that, that are taking more than their limit or more than their worth.
And I specifically from that documentary, I remember them like rattling off the numbers of sharks that we defin and just leave roll around the bottom of the ocean.
And yeah, Jeremy's got that pulled up. It's Ollie how would you pronounce that?
Tabrizi.
Yeah, I thought he did a really good job with it, man. But shout out to him for
it was awesome.
that out.
No, I know it was definitely eye-opening. And that's the thing is I think we just need to put more awareness on it and then let people make up their own minds.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I'm so sick of seeing everything like spun and manipulated into what people want it to be. You know what I mean? What is with their agenda. Just give me the information and let me make up my own mind.
Yeah, but then on like a Netflix documentary, you watch like Making a Murderer.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
I haven't. I know what you're talking about, though.
Yeah, but
right?
you walk away from that documentary and you're like, well, Jesus, they got this innocent guy in jail, and then you hear an interview with one of the investigators, and it completely blows the thing out of the documentary. It's completely
It's bullshit.
Yeah. and you're like, oh my God, I was invested into like 7 episodes of that thing. Shit.
You can definitely spin the narrative any way that you want with a camera and editing.
Oh my
and
God,
stuff.
it's
And
incredible.
Look at what the media does. I mean, that's one thing I love about podcasts. We don't do much editing here other than like audio spikes and stuff like that. And that's just because I'm trying to keep it true form, right, to what it is. I mean, obviously we've had some operators in and stuff before, and they've been like, hey, dude, I shouldn't have said that. I got to take that down. So we've lost a couple episodes because of that too. Like, hey man, I got in trouble. I'm like, oh shit, sorry dude, we'll take it down, which sucks for us.
Right.
But that's just the nature of it. You know what I mean? But you get somebody that gets a hold of it, like, the media, the mainstream media, and spend some sort of narrative. It's crazy. Like, me and Jeremy were just talking about that with like the whole Travis Scott thing that just happened. I mean, there's a lot of weird variables there. Nobody really knows. They're still investigating it. But, saying that the production guys, it is some of the production's fault, but like the cameraman had nothing to do with it, dude. They don't have comms to Travis Scott to be like, hey dude, stop the show. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, I don't know. It's just a weird world we're living in right now, especially, coming out of this pandemic or still in it. Who knows?
That's my biggest
political
thing, man.
division, the riots. We were talking about that the last time.
They really do sow it. And I think it's, whichever side you fall on is totally fine by me. I don't care.
Yeah.
Not in a malicious way. I just don't care. But if you can't look at your side and be like, man, my side is spinning this, regardless which side you're on, they're both doing the same thing. They're both spinning it to make their narrative more lucrative, to make it more convincing. It's like, it's hard.
And only listening to one side, right? Like having some sort of controversy or having a second opinion, I think.
Lack of critical thinking, I think, is definitely hurting us.
For sure.
Just think, if one side's telling you something that's too good to be true, or, it's probably, look what the other side's saying, and they probably need to fall somewhere.
Fuck it. I didn't mean to go down that path.
No,
but
you're good.
Let's get back into fishing. Fuck that.
I feel you.
Let's talk about, dude, I don't know much about what you got going on. You told me that you just expressed to me how frustrated you can get. That's one reason why I started this podcast. You got something new that's happening. Tell me what's going on, man.
So Mend is a company my girlfriend and I are starting.
Those hats are dope, by the way. So.
Yeah. We're having trouble getting stuff in, man. We're trying to order and develop. Everybody's like, things are stuck, and it's been tough. It's been way, way slower than we want, but we're going to stick with it because what we think we're eventually going to do, I think, is very important. But basically, man, we want to create and pair with local artists and do all kinds of things. But the goal is to fund projects that we think and other organizations think are critical, right? Like preserving native fish, right? I think there's a lot that can go on to be done with that, and just different causes around fishing specifically for now, maybe one day bigger. But we just want to put money, we want to produce products, specifically eco-friendly apparel that's not doing more damage than it needs to, provide a great product, but take all that and put it into something that we basically want to preserve our passion, man. So my kids can enjoy it, so your kids can enjoy it, and future generations can enjoy it. Like, this hat is made from all recycled plastic bottles. And hemp specifically is what we want to target in the future. Hemp has been ridiculed and criticized for, as long as you can.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and it's a weed, man. It's a super plant. A lot of farmers in the San Luis Valley in southern Colorado have switched to growing. It requires exponentially less water. It's way stronger than traditional cotton. It wicks moisture. It is naturally bacteria resistant. It's pretty incredible once I started to dive into this research, what this plant is actually all about.
They used to make jeans out of it.
Oh, it's super strong, man. Yeah, there's a company in Denver here that makes a lot of stuff out of hemp, and they just recently sent me some samples, and I'm just like, man, this stuff's incredible. You know, like even the Richardson hats that most people get their stuff logos sewed onto are great, and they do make an eco-friendly option. These hemp hats just like completely.
Yeah, we've been working with them
water.
a little bit to get. I want to get a little bit of merch for the podcast. It's just been back burner.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I've been looking into the same thing. So we're gonna have to talk after this. But that's awesome, man. Is this a nonprofit, or how are you going about this?
So we're forming partnerships with different organizations. Like one we've already discussed with that we have on deck ready to go is Western Native Trout Initiative, and basically we want to take a portion of the proceeds that we generate and dump them back into projects that they see fit. And I'm also tossed around the idea of doing like a men conservation fund where we fund projects directly, you know, here in Colorado that we feel are important. But things like Trout Unlimited, we want to donate to the National Wildlife Fund, things like that. We just want to make sure what we're doing for work, what we feel passionate about. Like I said earlier, man, that's what I'm passionate about, is making sure we do something to turn this ship around. I think we're on a very slippery slope. We're not educating enough as much as we should be. And I think just shedding awareness, and two, man, a lot of the textiles that we're wearing, especially in the fishing industry, are extremely toxic. They're produced in a way that's terrible for the environment. You know, there's brands out there that are marketing, you know, environmentally friendly stuff, and it's, you know, specifically bamboo. It's super soft. It's great. Their products are awesome. But they go through a process that turns it into viscose bamboo or hemp from viscose. And that process is extremely chemically intensive. You're basically taking something that was once eco-friendly, sustainable, putting it through this terrible chemical process, and it comes out the other side not even the same thing. Right? And it's, you know, that process, if you were to do that to hemp, you actually end up using way more water than you ever would need to. And water, man, is a global problem we have
that's
right now.
a huge
There's no
problem.
water. We're seeing it in Colorado. We're seeing it with wildfires everywhere. We're seeing it with the Yampa River has been closed all summer.
Yeah.
It's one of our favorite spots. Hasn't been open. There's no water in it. Colorado doesn't even make it to the ocean.
Yeah, and the Platte last year, the last time you were in, we're talking about that, the flow change.
The super low flows, you know, that summer, summer of 2020 was at like 44 or 50 or 72, you know, ranged in that all summer long. So, you know, whatever we can do to produce something that is good for the environment, is good for fishermen, provides them something that they can wear and feel good about wearing, and then turn around and dump some of those proceeds into causes.
Have you ever looked into or thought about, or do you know about like what effects sunscreen have in the water and stuff like that?
I don't know. I
Because
know.
I've always wondered that, because
my brother's
I lather it on. I got a bald ass head and stuff, and I know I sweat, and I know some of that secretion's probably ending up in the water, but I've always wondered what that does to fish. And I remember hearing that one time in Hawaii or something, there was a sea turtle issue or something like that.
I wouldn't be surprised, man. I know one of my brother's buddies that he knows through one of his business cohorts or something they make sunscreen and different skin products that are all natural and not. In one of his ads, the Facebook ad he did was he was like taking sunscreen out of a bottle and spraying it and lighting it on fire, and how flammable it was.
Oh shit!
Was incredible. Really? Like it was like a flamethrower, man. Like not just like psh, like a little bit. It was like whoa. Yeah. And that was his market. You know, he was doing marketing to market for his natural sunscreen alternative, but I'm sure it's pretty toxic, man. I feel like anything, you know, especially the ones that come in an aerosol can, are probably not great. Yeah, and we just cake that stuff on.
Lather it on.
Yeah, especially.
I have to, dude. I don't want to get skin cancer on the fucking top of my head. Yeah. That's why I love those like thin, you know, like it's not a rash guard, but the fly fishing like hoodies.
Yep, and that's exactly
I used
what
to use them for paddleboarding and stuff. Yeah, it's sweet.
Yeah, and hemp is naturally UV resistant up to like UV 30 or UPF 30.
Really?
Yeah, so it has all these amazing natural properties that you don't have to add additives to it. Like you don't have to do anything to. And we've, you know, pushed that away for how long? You know, farmers couldn't even grow hemp.
Prior to us, you know, making it our narcotical drug, it was used for so many different things. I think I heard a rumor one time that the Boston Tea Party was not tea.
It was
hemp.
It I wouldn't be surprised.
They used to make paper out of it. They used to do all kinds of clothes.
Well, other countries have been using it in the textile. I mean, couch cushions, hemp, right?
Yeah.
Like all kinds of different things. Other countries have been using forever.
I would imagine that there is a surplus of it here. Like we have a CBD sponsor on Canada. You know, all the crops are growing right here in Colorado. They're extracting the CBD out of it, I guess. I'm not a CBD scientist, but anyways, so they're extracting all that stuff out of the plants. I would imagine that there's some sort of waste that you could use to then turn into clothing or paper.
It's just crazy, the regulation. I know Patagonia has an awesome documentary on hemp farmers, specifically in Colorado. And another regulation that, you know, they're allowed to grow it again as a industrial hemp. It can't be over like 0.03 or 0.003%
right.
THC, and if it is, they make them burn the whole harvest, the whole crop.
Yeah,
that's not enough to get high. You'd probably have to smoke a truckload.
It's insane to be in actual legal CBD. It's got to be under a certain amount. So,
right.
Like if you don't have farmers or like you're just doing it on the cheap, if it's like gas station bullshit, good luck. You know, you might pop hot on a piss test or something. You know, if you have a job and you're active military or first responder or something where that matters. You know, you want to use something that's reputable, and that's one thing that's so cool about this company. But I've learned a lot about it just doing the advertisement reads and having these guys in and stuff like that. And
there's definitely
has to reach a certain maturity, and then it has to be harvested like right away or neutralized, you know, to keep growing, because then it turns into marijuana, I guess, at that point.
That's my brother's company. We do all marketing for cannabis dispensaries. We work with over 170 different dispensaries across the United States, and there's definitely, you know, good CBD, bad CBD, good cannabis flower, bad, you know.
I can imagine.
But yeah, it's crazy, man. That's our goal though overall, is just to be able to feed money into these causes that we think are important, that our people who, you know, our customers think are important, and ultimately just doing whatever we can do to help preserve this, man. We need to start steering it in the right direction. So
that's a great cause, man. It's I love what you're doing with it. What are you guys have a website up right now? What's going on with that? You got,
by the time this airs, we should be. We actually just partnered with a local guide, a fly fishing guide, who's a woman, which is super badass. She's a hell of an angler from what I see on Instagram. She's an artist as well, and she made us a really cool brown trout design to promote people not fishing brown trout reds.
She have an Instagram page?
She does. Her name is Trout Christie. Her name's Chelsea Christie. But she made us this awesome design. We're getting put on T-shirts and stickers and all that stuff. So those, by the time this probably drops, will be available on our website, which is just mendapparel.co. But yeah, right there, she was just popped up. Go back a little bit. Right there, first one down.
Give her a follow, Jeremy, too.
Yeah, she's awesome. Her and her husband are a guide duo, if you will. But
Colorado based, or?
Yeah, they are.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, they guide all over the Front Range, different streams. But yeah, they're two awesome people, and she was phenomenal to work with and made us a super cool design. Which I will definitely send you guys some stickers and hats when we get them, because
we'll rock it.
Yeah, they were supposed to be here right now, but they of course ran out of the eco-friendly sticker material that's like biodegradable and everything. So, but
cool. Yeah. I want to talk to you about that, because I want to get some shit made for the podcast, and I've been trying to figure that out. But like you, I'm trying to be conscious, and I want to follow what we're preaching, right?
Yep, absolutely. So. Yeah, and it's that's exactly the thing, man. It's what, you know, it's making conscious decisions and thinking about things critically.
Especially if you're a business or something like that, right? Yeah.
That's why we've, you know, not slandering or mudslinging on any company. There's all types of fly fishing apparel companies that make fantastic gear. Sims makes awesome stuff. We stopped buying Sim stuff because we're buying Patagonia stuff, because they're putting more effort into that side of things and doing a ton of campaigning and brand awareness and lobbying and everything else to, you know, not that I've always aligned with Patagonia politically, but they're doing a lot to support those efforts, which I think is awesome. And they're making a lot of their stuff from recycled materials, organic cotton. They have some hemp stuff in their lines.
And that's one thing people don't really realize as a consumer. It's not just a cool logo or something. You should do a little bit of research on a company and figure out what they stand for.
Especially if you're going to drop the coin. Nothing
Exactly,
is cheap
man.
these days. So if you're going to buy
so crazy
a $300 jacket, you better feel good wearing
I'm
it.
the guy out there in, the Reddington boots with no waders. I don't think I've ever owned a pair of waders, dude. I'm like, screw it.
Man, I'm the same way. Like hunting, I was like piecing stuff together. I'm like, would it be cool to have all Sika stuff on right now?
Right.
Yeah, it'd be
Army
cool.
surplus, bro.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
Yeah, hell yeah. Do you need some more ice or anything? I'm going to grab this bottle of whiskey.
Absolutely.
Hey, well, I wasn't planning on drinking this much this afternoon. So fuck it.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Jack.
You too, man.
The last time you were up here, we went to the bar afterwards, too, didn't we?
We did, yeah,
For
right
a
up here on
minute?
top.
Sorry we don't have time to do that today,
It's
man.
okay, no worries, man.
But yeah, no, I appreciate you getting up here and stuff. And, we're burning through the time here. Let's talk about some good fly fishing practices.
Let's do it.
Go ahead. And do you guys have a URL and everything for the website for when it does come out?
We do. It'll be mendapparel.com.
Sweet.
Yep.
Okay, cool. We'll definitely do that. And then shoot me all the info when you get it, and we'll share it.
Yeah,
and,
we'll hook you guys up with a code or something so everybody
Oh, that'd
all
be
the
awesome,
listeners
man.
can
Yeah.
get hooked up.
Yeah, I want one of those hats. Those are sweet,
Yeah,
man.
absolutely,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, we got hats coming and shirts. And
Will they fit our giant heads?
Yeah.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
That's the only problem.
I'll send
we
them
have.
back if not.
Yeah. That's my one gripe about some of these sponsors. They send us these little kitty hats. I'm like, dude, I can't wear that. Like, I'm gonna look like an idiot. I'm on camera,
This
bro.
one has a little bit a deeper
No, I love
crown
that.
height.
Yeah, I'll wear
so,
that.
Yeah,
I would wear that.
absolutely.
I can tell right away. I'm a hat connoisseur. So
I know. I
know
know
what
a
I'm
wall
talking
of
about.
hats. I'm like, God, I gotta stop.
Right.
This is out of hand.
Oh, I know. I don't throw some anyway. I give them to like little nephews and stuff like that because I get so many free hats,
They're
especially
fun to
since we
buy,
started
too,
the
man.
podcast. Like, how many hats have we gotten, Jeremy? Like everybody puts out a hat, right?
There's
Like,
a few, and then you when they don't fit you, you hand them to me, and then I go, dude, I think my head's bigger than yours.
yeah.
Down the line.
Down the line.
Then they go to one of our kids.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, dude, let's talk about the last time you were in. I feel like we put out a ton of great information.
Let's do it.
So go back and listen to episode 10. Like I was saying, that one gets downloads every week.
That's cool.
Which is cool, So it's still that little audience there is still growing. And I think the last time you were in, we talked about handling fish. We touched on that a little bit today. But let's just go through like the most important things in your mind. If you're from getting out of the truck to walking in to handling a fish to going home.
Absolutely. So this time of the year specifically, so just for everybody out there, rainbow trout spawn in the spring, brown trout in the fall. We're here, the first or second week in November. So brown trout are actively getting after it. They're making their nests, which are called reds. That you will find those in shallow gravel bars, pea gravel areas. You want to watch out with those. You don't want to step on them. The eggs are laying in those nests. It's, for example, there'll be algae all over the rocks, and then that nest is going to be a cleaned off circle, and it's going to be a depression. And they do that so the water flows over top of it. Their eggs, sink to the bottom. The male comes up, fertilizes those eggs. The next generation of brown trout.
And it's pretty crazy. You can see it. I know, we talked about this in episode 10. It is a big blank spot in the river. It sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yep. Yeah. So first and foremost, avoid those. Don't tramp on them. If you see a 25-inch brown trout laying in the middle of them, it's tough. I get it. I've seen it. Don't fish it. Just keep going. Leave them. That is literally the next spawn of brown trout. That is the future of the ecosystem, the resource. Leave them alone. I know it's tough. That right now, spring and fall, those seasons, definitely watch out for those. So that being first thing. Fish handling, it's super simple. Just keep them wet. If you catch a large trout,
keep them all wet, man.
Keep them in the
what
net.
A great saying,
Yeah, keep them all wet. Exactly. If you want to lift them up for a grip and grin, and you want to do it, by all means go for it, but do it ethically. Lift them up, snap a picture, one or two, put them back in the net, let them recharge. And make sure before you send that fish off, you're sending them off in an area of the river that's conducive to that. Don't let them go. If you just wore out a fish and fought a large trout for 15 minutes, which would be overkill anyway, don't do that.
There needs to be some flow, right? Like,
don't let him go in a dead slack area where you just stirred up a lot of mud and he's just going to suck in a bunch of mud. Also, don't take him to the heaviest current in the river and just send him away. Find somewhere that he has some cover that he can retreat to quickly, get behind a rock, and sit there and recharge, right? So let them recover, then let them go. Hands wet. One thing that has kind of swept over the Colorado fly fishing community, especially with cold weather on the horizon, is wearing Nitro Gloves. So the next closest best thing is bare hands. You don't ever want to have a wool glove or a tailing glove or any type of material that's going to strip that fish of his slime coat.
So the Nitro Gloves don't do that? Is
right,
that
yeah.
Okay.
Like a Nitro glove or a latex glove. A lot of guys wear black ones. Is what they'll do. They'll put that on their hand and throw a fleece glove over it in cold weather conditions, and your hands will be sweating. You don't get cold. It keeps the wind off them, and it's super healthy
just
with fish.
a regular, like a surgical?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yep. You can handle fish with that. It won't harm them. You obviously want to wet them first as well. And here when we roll into December, January, February fishing is what I'll do. I'll put that Nitro glove on, throw a fleece glove on, fish all day like that. When I catch a fish, I remove that fleece glove and then just handle them. And
you know what I learned just from watching, like, Traeger's one of our sponsors. Mm-hmm. And I always see all the chefs on there. They're sending me videos and stuff like that. And I've gotten really into, like, watching them now that I have one. And those latex gloves are amazing how much it actually protects your hand from heat or cold.
Yep.
Like, you can grab, like, a piece of dry ice with one. You can freaking it's got to be a heavy mill, right?
Yep.
The 9 mil or whatever is what I buy. But I can grab a brisket and, like, cut it.
Dude, it's
right off the
unbelievable.
grill. Yeah, and I'm not burning my hand.
It, like, keeps the wind off, and my hand will be sweating when it's, like, miserably cold out. I'm like,
because there's no air going in there, right?
Yeah, there's a couple guides, I think, like Landon Mayer, John Easton, that have really promoted that because it promotes ethical fish handling as well.
And it's crazy. If you see a fish, you'll know right away when you catch one. You'll be like, what is on this fish? It's almost like a
fungus,
a lesion or a sore or something.
So we actually, unfortunately, in our adventures this summer, ran into a couple alpine lakes that the fish were in really, really bad shape. Cutthroat actually get a spawning fungus on them when they're, mind you, those native fish were spawned in a hatchery and then got stocked. They've grown wild and they've grown in that lake, but at one time we're in a hatchery. So they're susceptible to whirling disease. Not good. If you ever see a fish that's kind of towards the top of the water column, right at the edge, kind of fluttering around, seems like he's clueless and lost.
So it's almost like CWD or something.
It's a very similar thing.
Wow,
so with whirling disease, it presses on their equilibrium, and they basically don't know which way.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, which is why it's called whirling disease. We ran into a few populations of cutthroat that were heavily infected with spawning fungus, which a lot of times they can beat. I ran into one that I could have swore had whirling disease, and I actually talked with the aquatic biologist in the region a few times, who was super helpful. And he thinks it's just a really bad case of that fungus. And they get that fungus because when they come up to spawn after ice off, they're so close together. Mm-hmm. And that's how it kind of spreads. So always just keep if you see a big fish.
Do they spread it to other fish then?
They do, yeah. And then whirling disease spreads because once they die, the worms that have infected them go into the mud, the silt of the lake, and it's just like a revolving door.
I hate parasites.
Yeah, yeah, right. So... yeah, if you ever see a fish with white fungus on its tail or areas where hands are commonly placed, just leave that fish be. He's already...
That's honestly why I stopped fishing in Texas, man, because like there was some sort of parasite. Like if you got in the water, it would get in your brain or something. Yeah. I was like, dude, fuck this. Yep. Like I'm out.
There's all kinds of stuff going on. But yeah, any fish that's already struggling, or same with low flows, right? That's another thing. Go fish somewhere that the water's good, or just refrain. Especially in the summer, if it's a low water year, go to the alpine. Find those high elevation lakes. They stay cooled all year round. So those are a great way to kind of escape.
So with flow comes water temperature as well. Water temperature is huge. You don't want to fish during certain
they're like
high
parallels.
Temperatures. Yeah.
If it's the middle of summer and flows are low, the water's going to be warm.
Yeah.
Which can be great for bug life, but it's not so great for fighting and handling trout. In places like Cheeseman Canyon, it stays cold all the time. That's a cold water release tailwater. It's spitting out of the bottom of Cheeseman Reservoir. It stays pretty cold. When it gets warm is when it starts tumbling over the top, because that top level of the lake has warm water. They actually have different releases on that dam that spit out different temperature water, and Denver Water does a great job actually blending those temperatures together to try to keep it optimal for those trout.
It's crazy the infrastructure that Denver Water has. It's insane.
Yeah, when you think about the land and just the water and the financial aspect behind the control of water is kind of crazy to think about. But what else fish handling wise? Yeah, pictures I think are the biggest thing. And there's,
Everybody's got an Instagram these days.
Everybody's got an Instagram. I think if you look through my page, you'd be hard pressed to find a trout that isn't dripping water off him, meaning he was just literally picked up out of the water. That's the best way to do it. Leave them in the net. I like taking pictures of the fish. That's what I like to look at. I don't necessarily need to see my mug.
Honestly, I think one of the things too I've noticed is like the best way to keep them in the water is for you to be in the water too.
Oh, for sure.
Which is huge, right? And I see so many people that just bank fish, and it's like you pull that fish out, now it's flopping around in the dirt.
He's covered.
Then you got it out. Then you're trying to get a photo.
Stripping all the slime off him. Now he's susceptible to infection. Absolutely. Yeah, I think fish handling is it's as easy or hard as you make it. I think you just got to be thoughtful with it.
And that's huge.
Yeah.
Game changer.
If I forget I've forgotten in the last year maybe once or twice to take my net, and it's like the day's shot. Like you might as well just turn around and go home. You can't land a large trout in these tailwaters without a net anyway. It's next to impossible. What else? I'm trying to think of what else would be some good topics for ethical fish handling. Yeah, pitchers. I know we covered pitchers a little bit, but just get them the right way, and I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, and I think it's important to me. It's important to you, and I think it's important to most anglers out there. So I think a big thing too is helping. If you see somebody new to the sport
don't be
something,
a dick.
Don't be a dick. Yeah,
don't be a dick.
Help them out. I think that'll be a big part of the future.
You can ruin the sport forever for somebody in one instance. And fly shops, some do a good job, some don't, of making it an awesome experience or a very intimidating experience. That is huge. I think river etiquette is getting worse and worse because we have more and more people. As a seasoned angler, if you're out there, understand that.
Yeah.
The dude who just high-holed you might not know any better. He just truly might not be educated. So take a second, be very polite. And some guys, I have a great story for this. I was at the Dream Stream. Sarah and I are sitting on a rock right with our feet kicked in the water, eating lunch. Across the field, a guy's walking. And I'm just watching him come closer and closer. And I look over at Sarah. I'm like, surely he's not going to come, cast a line right next to us. He walks up right across the river. I mean, the river's not very wide. It's not a big river. And starts fishing. I just politely said, hey, man, it's not the best practices. It's somewhat frowned upon to fish right next to us when I get we're eating lunch, but we're here fishing. And he said, fuck off, buddy. And sure enough, we went down the verbal altercation route, and it got pretty malicious quickly. But it was just like that. If you start with good intent, that's all you can do. Some people don't want to hear it, and that's fine. But just understand, we have an overpopulation problem. I would say Denver's blowing up.
Goes back to that golden rule,
Yeah,
respect.
Exactly. So handle everything and just try to educate people when you can. And I would say another topic that's super hot right now is social media and with hunters as well. I know I've heard a lot of people talking about how the hunting season wasn't very good, and they're blaming it. A lot of people want to say social media has blown up spots. And social media has keyed me into a lot of great fishing areas. I blur some of my photos if it's really that. And that also begs the question, like, should I post it at all? If you're going to go through the trouble of blurring the background, maybe just keep it to yourself. And there's definitely
That's why I choose to post what I want. You know what I mean? I think that's to each his own. But if you're one of those people complaining about it, you shouldn't be posting about it either.
Exactly. Yeah, you're 100% right.
I've hunted for a long-ass time. I've been unsuccessful more than I've been successful. And like I said, I'm no pro, and I'm not claiming that I am. That's just part of fucking hunting, man.
Yeah, the social media conversation, I've asked the question on my Instagram to get people's input on it, and it's funny. Some people think that it's absolutely ruined these outdoor sports, just the sole reason that it's been the detriment, and other people don't think it has had anything to do with it. I think it's somewhere in the middle. I think people definitely blow spots and burn spots. If you post a picture and there's a prominent land feature and you got 20,000 followers and you post a picture of a huge fish, don't be surprised when next time you go back and there's 3 other dudes there.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I've got clued into some awesome cutthroat features from there being a prominent rock feature and then staring at Google Maps till my eyes bleed. If you want to put it out there, I'm going to go find it if I care enough about that particular type of
That's
fish.
the world we're living in these days.
Yeah, so it's just you have to be cognizant. And I posted a picture of a monster cutthroat a couple of weeks back or a month or two back or whatever, and I blurred the background. And some people messaged me and gave me shit. I was like, bud, I found it from somebody posting a background. I don't want to expose those more fish to pressure. And that's the way I think about it. Some people, oh, you ruined the photo. Yeah, I have the photo without the blurred background.
Sure.
I can look at myself.
It's pretty simple, too, to step in front of. I mean, if you get a photo composed properly, you don't even have to blur the background, right?
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
And that's the thing, too. And we were in a total rush to get that fish back in the water. It's like, we got to get this thing back. Please just snap a couple pictures. They'll send him on his merry way. And and that also begs the question on, was it worth posting at all? Like, is the clout worth it? I'd
be
deal
a
with
good
that all
fucking
the time.
person when it comes down to it, like on both ends, whether you're the guy viewing that photo or not. But that's the problem is people are just, they feel entitled.
Yeah.
A lot of the time.
Yeah. And I think it's like all the stuff going on with Facebook and whatnot these days.
Yeah.
It's hard to determine whether I've met and 100% have met some of my best fishing friends, and Instagram has provided me with some wonderful opportunities, no doubt.
It's been great for the podcast for sure.
Yeah, it's linked me up with people who have linked me up with other people that have
use it though, right?
Right. And I think it's easy. I understand how people get sucked into the cloud of wanting to post every day and trying to grow their following, and it can be lucrative in many different ways. I think it's just, especially outdoor industry folks, it's one thing if you're a fitness influencer. More people at the gym, that's better. Let's get people fit, where more people in the sport of fly fishing, also better. Let's grow the sport, but we have to be very careful how we grow the sport. That's the question too. I don't know that we ask a lot. A lot of the shops I see, especially in Denver area, they're promoting things that if I was the business owner, I necessarily wouldn't be promoting. I think that we need to ask ourselves, can these resources support the demand we're marketing and pushing to put on them?
Sure.
I get you run a business. I want you to grow the sport. We all want the sport to grow. The more the
I've
sport
seen
grows,
that firsthand too. Like a lot of a YouTube video of somebody from a certain fly shop
hot spotting, doing a river spotlight, and I'm like, oh my god, why'd you do that? Was that, you know what I mean? I get, for certain fly shops to me, like Charlie,
and it should be open to everybody, but you should have to fucking find it because if.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, man, I'm all in
That's how I feel.
I'm in the corner of I want more people in the sport because it gets innovated that way.
Sure.
That's how stuff gets innovated. As more people come in, bring new ideas, bring things from other angling disciplines. The sport has to grow. If we want to sustain businesses in the sport like fly shops, they have to grow too. So I get their dilemma here. But we have to figure out a way to do this in a way that's, hey, if we're going to market to all new fly fishermen and I don't know that we should be spot burning rivers that people, like to keep to themselves. That's their sanctuary. I don't know. I haven't figured that one out. That's a very complex problem.
Yeah, it's a strange world because, like you and I growing up in the era that we did, we had to go out and just find it. You had to put the work
there was
in.
Nothing.
And that's still my logic behind hunting. I put the work in all season long. We hunted a new area this year, and I wasn't successful on my elk. But next year, I think I might be.
Yeah.
Because I put the time in.
Absolutely.
And that sort of thing.
Yeah,
it's all kind of part of it, everybody wants instant gratification these days.
Yep.
I think that's a hard.
It's funny you say that.
Yeah.
My dad shot that monster 6x7 bull, beautiful bull. And I was like, man, this is awesome. Congrats. He's like, yeah, it would have been cooler if you shot it. And I was like, no, I don't think so. It would have been cool. You're right. It would have been absolutely fantastic. But to shoot that, so you know what I mean. You've hunted for 40 years, Dad. This area, this same
biggest bull of his life.
Yeah, same exact area. You've spend all this money every single year, put all kind of resources behind this hunt. You should have shot that bull. Yeah, not me who drove.
You got more time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know what I mean. It's not. And he was like, yeah, it would have been so cool. And I'm like, yeah, it would have been cool, I'm sure, for you to see me shoot a monster bull. But it's cooler because you paid your dues for years and years.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Physically, mentally, financially.
Congrats to Dad.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys took a picture, but if you did, send it to me. We'll throw it up on here so the listeners can see that too. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome, man. We are burning through the time. I know I have some obligations. You do too.
Absolutely.
Real quick before we get out of here, what are some common things that you see? We just talked about fish handling.
Yep.
How to properly handle a fish. What are some other things outside of that in the fishing world that we could be doing better as anglers, whether it's parking the right way in a parking lot, or whatever?
Yeah, I think taking care of, don't litter, don't leave line.
Yeah,
I think,
trash
there's
is huge.
little things you can do every time you.
If your fly ends up in a tree, try to get
go
it
grab
out.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, fishing line doesn't decompose for some wild number like 250 years or something.
It's fucking insane.
So when you go to clip the 3-inch piece off your tippet, go buy a little trash can. Fish Pond makes one. Smith Creek Outfitters makes a little trash fish. Yeah, you just hang it on your lanyard or your vest.
Oh, that's sweet.
And it gobbles up your tippet shavings.
You know what my fishing net gets used for more than anything is packing
trash.
fucking
Yeah,
bottles
we do it all
out
the time.
and shit.
We take pictures, Sarah and I,
Yeah.
of the nets we fill up
Yeah.
with stuff. Yeah, don't litter. Just be cognizant. Split shots, flies. Don't leave them in trees. Don't leave them on the bank. Be respectful to your fellow anglers. And I'd say most of all, we only win long term here if we all kind of step up and do small things and educate. I know I get frustrated, especially when, somewhere that used to be pretty low key is now there's going to be more people. It's not anybody's fault specifically. It's just the nature of the beast in Denver, Colorado right now.
Yeah, there's fucking 6 million people here or something
Yeah,
crazy.
what
man.
do you,
It's
you know,
insane,
it's impossible to avoid. No spot is secret. So I would just say treat people with respect and try to educate. If every seasoned angler out there turns around and educates somebody, my friend Steve, I met him through Instagram, is one of my best fishing pals. He's an amazing guy. He always takes the time. If he's catching fish and someone's not, he goes and hands him a dozen flies. He's a genuinely good person who takes the time to educate the next round.
That's awesome.
The next generation of anglers.
we need
all
more
need
people
to do
like that. Yeah.
yeah, and if we don't,
and I think that there is an arrogance in the fly fishing industry, the hunting
it's bad.
industry, the bow hunting. There is an arrogance, like especially if you're that top notch. And I've never understood that, but.
Yeah, I think there's a song out there. It's like we all got somebody to thank. Like I don't think anybody has probably got.
Country song.
Yeah, nobody's got to where they are in the outdoor community. I don't think without a whole bunch of help from a mentor or somebody who's keyed them in and just helped them on a lot of different things. So make sure you take the time to do that for the next person as well.
And I think that's the best form of education. I mean, the reason why I know so much of what I know in the outdoor world is because of my grandfather and my uncles.
Exactly.
And those guys were my mentors, right?
Yep.
Like I never really looked up to that John Elway or Michael Jordan. Like, yes, in a football sense and a celebrity sense, yeah, that's cool. But those dudes were like gods to me,
Yep.
just because that's everything that I was into. So if you can be that for somebody else, whether they're an adult or a kid or somebody that, take a kid fishing or hunting or something like that.
Absolutely.
It's huge, man, if they're super into it. And because I think a majority of people don't come from that sort of background.
No, and
You know what I mean?
some people
the mass of our population lives in an inner city.
Yep.
So
And two, here, some people, they may have never picked up any type of fishing rod or any type of hunting or any type of anything, and they want to jump into fly fishing because it's cool here to do in Denver. It's a very popular activity.
yeah.
So just understand that, education is the only way we're going to make out of this, and small collective efforts from everybody who's part of this community is the only way we're going to steer them in the right direction. So,
Cheers to that, man.
yeah,
Thanks for
absolutely.
coming in.
I appreciate
What's
you,
next
man.
for you, man? What do you guys got any events coming up, or what are you guys doing to launch?
We're just
stuff?
pushing. Yeah, we're going to push hard to launch, and hopefully some of this supply chain starts getting figured out so we can get some, we've been testing fabrics for over a year now, man. Trying to put together something that's never been done before with sustainable fabrics that are going to perform well. That's what we want, something that's going to perform well, that's good for the environment. It's not an intensive process to get them out there and feels good wearing. And, take those proceeds and put them back into
We're behind you. Let us know what we can do to help you. Before we jump off here, let's drop your Instagram, your personal one. I'm sure
Yep.
that you guys have one for Mend already.
We do.
Yeah?
Yep. So it's just at Mend Apparel, at Mend Apparel Co. And then mine is at Jack Shirk Fly Fishing, which by the time we launch and you're listening to this will be in my bio as well. Yep. Right there.
Hell yeah. That's a cool logo. I like it.
Yep. Yeah, we put couple iterations into that guy.
Yeah. Do you have a website for yourself personally? I know you guys are
working
on mid.
I'm actually doing more stuff on my website, writing gear reviews and some stuff like that. So that's just jackshirkflyfishing.com.
And are you still guiding?
I am not. No. So I'm working pretty heavy hours, I would say, during the week. We're trying to do some cool stuff there, but I'm still fishing a lot, and I am always happy to answer questions, whatever it might be in the fly fishing industry. Hit me up. Don't be scared. I know some of these guys can be assholes, but I am not. So.
Yeah. Jack, I appreciate you, man. I love you, brother. And,
yeah, you too, man. Cheers.
Appreciate you coming in. And the next time we do this, let's get on a river first before we do it.
Absolutely. We talk about that when we come back.
All right. I told you I was going to do that. It's been a year. We haven't fucking done it, but let's get out there.
We got time.
Everybody, thank you for listening. Jeremy, my main man, how we doing?
That's all good, dude.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. We'll catch you on the next one.
Perfect.
Thanks for listening to the Mountainside Podcast. If you haven't had a chance to do this already, please take a moment, follow, like, subscribe, or rate on whatever platform you catch the Mountainside Podcast at. Also, if you'd like some more information on upcoming episodes, safety tips, access to all of our affiliates, and all the badass discounts that we get here at the Mountainside Podcast, check out themountainsidepodcast.com. I want to give a big shout out to everybody that supports us on Patreon. You guys don't realize how much this helps to bring you amazing content with badass guests, pay our electric bill, and much more. So much love and thank you for your support. If you're new to the Mountainside Podcast and you like the content that we're creating here, the simplest way to support us is through Patreon. Not only are you supporting the Mountainside Podcast, you have the option to listen to us 100% ad-free and much more. Simply just visit patreon.com/themountainside, or you can simply open the show notes wherever you're listening to the podcast right now and look for the Patreon link. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Uncanna CBD. If you're looking to trust a natural solution, then look no further than Uncanna to help you curb anxiety, get better sleep, helping with long-term pain, joint mobility, muscle recovery, and many other benefits. Then you need to try a full spectrum or broad spectrum CBD, and the only brand that I trust is Uncanna. I use their products daily, and I can attest to you of how well it works. Uncanna is also veteran owned and operated and is just an incredible company that lives in the outdoors. Whether they're sponsoring professional rock climbers, dirt bikers, skiers, and many other athletes, helping veteran communities get outside, this is an incredible company with an incredible product. Because they are a sponsor here at the Mountainside Podcast, and you're listening to this ad right now, you can receive 10% off your entire order every time that you visit uncanna.com. All you have to do is simply enter promo code TMS at checkout to receive 10% off your entire CBD order, apparel, canine products, or whatever Uncanna has to offer just by simply typing in the code TMS at checkout. Once again, that's promo code TMS at uncanna.com. We are also brought to you by the #1 online outfitter for outdoor sports. I'm talking about Backcountry and the incredible brands that they carry like North Face, Patagonia, Garmin, Yeti, and the list truly goes on and on. You can find just about anything that you need for camping, hiking, biking, climbing, running, kayaking, all your snow sports, and much, much more. Backcountry's got you covered when you want to get outside and enjoy yourself on or in some incredible gear. Because Backcountry is a sponsor of the Mountainside Podcast, you can get an exclusive link that'll give you backdoor pricing. I'm talking 60 to 70% off on select items and discounted pricing site-wide. All you have to do is visit themountainsidepodcast.com, click on the affiliates page, and look for the Backcountry logo, or simply open the show notes wherever you're listening to the podcast right now and look for the Backcountry link. We are also brought to you by Onnit. Onnit is an amazing company based right here in the USA, helping humans reach peak performance mentally and physically. This is not just another supplement company with the same old, same old. Onnit's diverse lineup of products and supplements are backed by science and research, and that's what truly makes this company so amazing. Onnit offers supplements to help sports performance, energy levels, your mood, sleep, brain function, focus, immune system, digestive health, and that's not all. Onnit also has amazing fitness programs, equipment, apparel, and you can now save 10% on all of it. Just visit onnit.com, that's ONNIT.com, and use the promo code TMS at checkout to receive 10% off your entire order.